The Last Boss, Chapter 2. The Last Boss. At about 8:15, I dashed into Jibowu Park, all drenched in sweat, and my rucksack flung over my shoulder like a refugee. My heartbeat sprung out of control when I heard a long lady telling someone on the phone that the last bus to Port Harcourt was almost full. I raised my head towards the ticket office and saw throngs of people rushing there. My temperature spiked. I ran as fast as I could to the ticket office. Unfortunately, I got one of the last 3 tickets. I sang hallelujah in my heart. I got inside the bus and settled for one of the empty seats, sitting by the window. No sooner than I settled down, I started hearing a noise outside. I turned to the window to see what was happening. A fat woman was quarreling with a younger lady. It was funny how the fat woman struggled to keep her black beret in place with one hand while holding a small boy with the other during the heated exchange of words. With her free-flowing red striped shirt and full-length black skirt, I had no doubt that she must be one of those mothers in the Lord heading for a crusade. She wore no earrings and no makeup. From what I gathered from the heated exchange, it seemed Mother in the Lord had cheated the young lady out of the last ticket. The lady was in tears and calling her all sorts of names, to which Mother in the Lord responded by calling on the host of heaven to come down and cast out the demon that had possessed the lady. People soon waded in, and the young lady sorrowfully left the park while Mother in the Lord headed towards the bus. She soon boarded the bus and set her eyes on the empty seat beside me. I said a quick prayer and grumbled in my head, I beg make this woman no come sit for person side before she go suffocate person for this chair. As if she could hear my thoughts and wanted to punish me for it, she headed straight for the seat. Then she suddenly stopped and took a look at the empty seat in front of mine. Her gaze oscillated between both places for a moment, as if she was reciting "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo" in her head. The little boy watched on, waiting for his mother to make her choice. I continued praying in my mind that the Lord fell on the seat in front. Eventually, her gaze dropped on the one beside me. I resigned to my fate immediately. Then her brow furrowed. She looked at the seat again, and then me. She scrutinized me from head to toe. Her penetrating look almost bored holes into my skin. Here! Disgustedly, she uttered as she made a quick switch, as if afraid I was going to infect her with poverty. She must have seen my shoes. Anyway, I heaved a sigh of relief when she eventually settled into the seat in front, carrying the boy on her laps. I ignored the woman and her attitude and dug my hand into my bag to bring out my pen. The pen fell and rolled under the chair. I bent down to pick it up and felt some movement close by. My nose picked up the scent of lovely perfume. It smelled familiar. I raised my head, and lo and behold, towering above me was Tesco, trying to settle into the seat next to me. She was surprised to see me, but the surprise quickly melted into a signature entrancing smile. I remained glued to a spot, looking at her as though I just saw an Oyinbo with tribal marks. What a transformation! Adorned in a floral crop top, worn over a black vest that covered her navel, she looked more angelic than a nerd. Her slim jeans, reaching slightly above her ankle with its hems turned up, added elegance to her physique, and against the backdrop of her smooth fair skin, her luxuriant, richly oiled dark hair was well styled and amplified her ethereal beauty. Staring into her grey eyes was like staring at a hypnosis pendulum. Ironically, I now looked more of a Tesco than she did. You again? She broke me out of my mesmeric state. Oh, Tesco? Tesco? A dog? She drawled with a frown. Is that what you call me? I stuttered, scratching my head. No, I meant your beauty made me a Tesco. I lied. Fortunately, she fell for it. She smiled once more, revealing those large incisors. I am Fiona, she said, stretching her hand for a handshake. Wow, What a beautiful name! I shook her hand. I have only heard that name once, in Shrek. Shrek? You watch cartoons? She took a seat next to me. That was how the conversation started. Before long, we became so engrossed in our little world that all the chatterings and noise in the bus soon faded into oblivion. Not even the humming of the engine or the whooshing sound as the bus slides through the air could distract us, except the seldom interruptions from the loquacious mother in the Lord who spoke out of point each time. There was an instant connection between us that I found hard to explain. You know that feeling that you get when you eventually meet that one person your soul adhered for many years? Well, maybe my joblessness was playing tricks on me. I never could tell. For hours, we communicated freely amid smiles and laughter. I learned that Fiona was traveling for the compulsory one-year National Youth Service Corps NYSC program. It was her first time on a nice journey too, but unlike me, she seemed rather thrilled by it. At about 1 a.m., we had gone past Ore. By this time, the majority of the passengers had slept off. Even Fiona had started dozing off, nestling her head on my shoulder. I could feel the tenderness of her cheek, and as the breeze blew her luxuriant hair against my face, I savored the richness and aroma of this crown of beauty. I closed my eyes, drew in a deep breath, and released it gradually through my mouth. I felt an urge to stroke the hair. Suddenly, I looked up and saw a burning fire dancing in the middle of the road ahead of us. We had already passed a couple of checkpoints, but somehow, something was not right about this one. I sat up from my slouched position, taking care not to wake Fiona up, and steadied my gaze on the scene ahead. My muscles began to stiffen, and my nose started twitching uncontrollably. I usually felt this strange whenever danger was lurking around somewhere. I knew there was trouble. The driver must have sensed it too, but it was too late for him to retract. "Chidi, robbers!" He alerted the security man attached to the bus and pumped some power onto the throttle. He headed for the barricade. "To the ground, everybody!" Chidi screamed as he sprung to action immediately. He cocked his rifle and ran to a vantage point, ready for what laid ahead. The bus turned into a house of commotion instantly as people scampered to lie on the floor. Some even tried to squeeze themselves under the seats. There was no sort of prayers I did not hear on that day. Everyone suddenly remembered his or her God. "Mother in the Lord's blood of Jesus" was the loudest. The little boy clung to her the same way Fiona stuck to me. The bus raced towards the barricade the same way our heart ran towards our mouth. The bus flung us against each other as it rammed into the barrier and swung left and right as the driver swayed in a bid to dodge the obstacles on the road. The robbers cleared off the road, but not before the driver knocked down one or two of them. They got back to their feet and opened fire on the bus. More of them ran out of the bush and lent their ammunition to the assault. Bullets ran into the bus from all directions, bringing down shards of shattered windows on our heads like raindrops. The pandemonium intensified in the vehicle. The security man wasted no time in returning the favor. He screamed as the shells from his bullet dropped to the ground with his muscles twitching in rhythm with the vibrating gun. More clanging sound rented the air as bullets pierced through the bus, which was only diluted by the soft sound of bullets sinking into the cushion of the seat. I didn't know how many of the robbers Chidi took down, or if he got any of them at all. But one thing I knew was that Chidi got a bullet to his forehead. Blood spattered into the air and poured down on our heads in a shower of blood rain. He yelled and fell backwards onto the bus. It was as if it happened in slow motion. In my head, I heard no other sound except the sinking sound of my wristwatch and the loud tug of his body when it eventually hit the ground. My eyes bulged out as I watched him fall. Boom! Boom! I heard my heart loud and clear. Fiona must have heard it too. People screamed some more. Many intensified their prayers. "Holy Mary, Mother of God, blood of Jesus, Chineke, oh, God of Elijah, I also been lie, I also been lie," were some of the frantic cries I could pick up in the chaos. Some could not even speak audibly. Instead, Their mouths were only dancing and their heads were nodding endlessly. At a point, I almost thought I was in a white garment church. Grown-up men, husbands and fathers, cried like babies. Some needed to have seen how ugly they looked when they cried. The most touching of all was the little boy. He kept calling, "Mommy, Mommy," as he wailed. His entire body trembled as he clutched to his mother. I felt a hole in my heart. The only sound that could match the cacophony in the bus were those of screeching tires and raging gunshots outside. Strangely, I felt more concerned about Fiona's safety than mine. I wondered how she would survive these men. In all of these, the driver didn't lose focus. He did not slow down a bit. He ducked a few times as bullets shattered the windscreen. Suddenly, he swerved into the bush on the right, flinging us to the left. My head collided with Biggie's. Biggie was a huge guy that had kept to himself on the trip so far. Thank God his head was not as big as Narcissus. My head won't have remained the same. The bus bounced up and down the undulating path as the driver sped parallel to the main road. Tree branches and shrubs crashed and lashed at the bus mercilessly. Sleeping birds were thrown into confusion. I saw what the driver was trying to do. He wanted to lose the robbers and eat back the road some kilometers at the front. For a time, we thought we had lost the robbers. However, the robbers prepared well for such display of heroism. They had strategically positioned themselves. What our driver didn't know was that there was another band patiently waiting for us in front. After a few kilometers, the bus bumped back into the road, only for us to be welcomed into the embrace of raging gunshots. A bullet found its way into the driver's shoulder. He screamed in pain and lost control of the wheel for a moment. Unending sounds of metal piercing metal and chatting glass kept our hearts in our mouths. Then we heard the sound of water bursting out of a container, shortly followed by that of whooshing air. The bullet must have hit the radiator and the tires. The bus sputtered a few times and stopped. The driver raised his hand in surrender. Sweat trickled down his temple. The pain from the gun wound burned in his eyes, yet he gave no evidence of cowardice. Blood streamed down his arms and chest, gradually soaking up his yellow shirt. A strange calmness suddenly swept through the bus, not as a result of peace, but fear. We started sitting up one after the other. Fiona still clutched to me. The small boy had stopped wailing and looked on with big innocent eyes. He sniffed at intervals, trying to pull back phlegm into his nose, while his mother shielded him like a mother hen hid its chicks under its wings. The look of resignation was plain on everybody's face. The only sound audible now, aside the ticking of my wristwatch, was our heartbeats. The robbers walked towards the bus. The leader towered above everyone else and wore an army green beret, holding up his automatic AK-47 rifle with one hand. A chain of bullets hung over his shoulder like Rambo, and sweat glistened on his bare chiseled body in the flickering light as he approached. He donned a pair of military camouflage combat trousers and black boots. His heavily bearded square face bore the expression of someone ready to take lives for the trouble he went through. Two gang members ran ahead of him and entered into the bus, forcing everyone out. One of them grabbed a fistful of the driver's shirt and dragged him off the bus. Biggie wouldn't get down without a fight. He threw a powerful punch at the other robber. The blow sent the robber reeling back and crashing into one of the seats. He rushed at Biggie, but he parried his attack and sent another one to his chin. He staggered backwards the second time. On getting his footing, he cocked his gun and aimed at Biggie. Biggie quickly surrendered. The angered robber thought for a while and lowered his rifle. There was a more fun way of ending his life than shooting him in the bus where nobody would see him beg, he must have thought. In no time, they lined all of us up in the middle of the road. With our hands behind our backs, we dared not look at their faces, but I was able to steal a look. There were about 10 of them heavily armed. Thank God for the full moon that aided visibility. They dragged the driver and knelt him down before they had done. The Don swung his rifle across his back and brought out a pistol from the oyster on his waist. He raised the driver's chin with the gun. "Na you dey from James Bond, abi? Van Damme," he said in a guttural voice. "Margot," he blared. He circled the driver mockingly, then stopped to face us. He yelled, "See oh, now una driver won't put una for trouble oh." He walked back to the driver, who was still bleeding. "The maggot killed 3 of my boys! The fucking maggot killed 3 of my boys! Maggot!" He cocked the pistol and shot him point blank on his skull. The poor man dropped to the ground with a loud thud. Everybody screamed, "Shut up! Maggot! I said shut up!" He roared, and silence fell over the place pronto. Everyone could only whimper. I fixed my eyes on the driver's lifeless body, lying on the ground. He showed no sign of fear. He died like a man, and I was proud of him. My hands found Fiona's, and I was surprised that she wasn't trembling. I saw a sidelong view of Biggie, and I saw him clenching his face. "Take it easy, bro. Don't do something stupid," I whispered in my head. The bearded devil decided to address his captives again. "See, me I no be bad person oh. Now una fucking James Bond driver cause am." He fired 2 shots into the air. We all trembled. He marched up to us and examined us one after the other. He spent more time with the ladies, raising their chin and tilting their heads right and left. When he got to Fiona, my blood boiled as he mishandled her. "This one fine oh." He licked his tongue. "This one goes sweet for me to well. He sniggered, ogling at her breasts. I felt like plucking the bastard's eyes out. He started pulling her to himself. Fiona clung to me, her eyes imploring me to save her, but the bastard yanked her from me. I felt a strong urge to protect her. Then in our presence, the dawn started stripping her of her clothes. I couldn't take it anymore. I charged forward and landed an overall punch on the bastard's jaw. He staggered backward and his beret fell off. He picked up and dusted his beret, and surprisingly, he began laughing. "Ha ha ha ha! I no say my queen get lover boy for here." With that, 2 of his minions came for me, but they didn't know that Omo Akin, I am the son of the brave. I steadied myself and waited for them. As they approached, I sent a kick to the groin of the first one. He yelped and doubled over. I topped it up with an uppercut. Immediately, another one took his place, and before I knew what was happening, they had overpowered me and bundled me forward. They forced me to my knees in front of the bastard. "Ha ha 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 ha!" He laughed again. "See oh, lover boy won't on Jesus Christ." He licked his pistol. Then I saw his eyes protruding and the veins on his neck becoming engorged. He yelled, "Maggot!" He pressed the muzzle of the pistol against my cheek. It felt cold. The shiver traveled down my body with unprecedented speed. I peed on myself right away. Don't laugh at me. Remember, when a child encounters fear, he will tremble. To further humiliate me, the Don made known his intention. He would make out with Fiona right before my eyes. He started unbuckling his belt. I almost cried. Biggie yelled at the Don, and without warning, the Don replied with his pistol right away. Biggie screamed, swirled around, and dropped to the ground like a felled tree. My teeth began to knock against each other. "Guys, let the party begin!" the Don announced, looking at the smoking gun in his hand as if it just fired itself. His minions cheered and began carrying each one a lady into the bush. I shut my eyes so hard that I feared I might squeeze the juice out. I couldn't just imagine what would happen to Fiona and those innocent girls. Even if I had regained my courage, there was little I could do. I had 2 rifles on my temples. The Don shoved Fiona to the ground and began to pull down his trousers.